Well done to Shubman Gill, captain leading from the front with a brilliant 114, 7th century.
Not out. Please specify.
114 unbeaten runs, a partnership of 99 so far unbeaten with Ravindra Jadeja, 310 for 5. On a day which felt there were some missed opportunities, but yes, there were some opportunities which was capitalized. Shubman Gill, second match, second ton, 147 in Leeds, failed in the second innings. Here, yet again, he scored 100. So, 200s in the Sena countries. He's joined Virat Kohli. If you look at first 2 tests as captain, he scored centuries. I mean, look at it. Kohli scored 2 centuries in Adelaide. He then scored 100 in Sydney. He's now gotten 100 in Leeds and he scored 100 in Edgbaston. So, yep, plenty of positives when you look at Shubman Gill's batting. But overall, I would say 2 sessions belonging to India. India would be 60% happy with the way how they've gone on things today on day 1. 40% even England would be happy because, see, you got only Washington Sundar now as the next specialist, you may say, quote unquote, specialist batter.
Okay.
Come bowler.
Generous.
Yeah, I mean, see, you got him primarily for his batting, to strengthen the batting. Then you got Akashdeep, Mohammad Siraj, Prasidh Krishna. I mean, Akashdeep can wield a willow, but that's also a novelty. But Siraj and this thing. So they have made good inroads also, England. 5 wickets. So overall, when you look at it, there are some talking points. Shubman Gill's knock, Yashasvi's knock. Pant, a rare failure. He tried his aggressive method, but it didn't turn out. Overall, if you want to sum it up, am I right in saying that it is 60% India who will be happy, 40% England, or do you think it's very 50-50 at this point?
This is a difficult one, Siddharth. We're starting off with some tough questions, aren't we? Because, see, it is, let's make no bones about the fact that this is a good wicket to bat on. I may not be well equipped at the moment to tell you if this is as good as the wicket in Leeds was, but for starters, it does look like a harmless wicket to me. Besides the all about bouncing a bit, which we saw only in the first session, we haven't seen anything like that happen in the way that the day has played out. But otherwise, 310 for 5 at Stumps on day 1 for a team that lost the toss, I think we'll take that. If India were told on the eve that this would be the eventual equation at the end of day 1, I think the Indian team would have taken it, not by both hands, but would definitely have accepted this one. Perhaps what this does is it gives you a very good foundation for you to now believe that you can pile on another 100-110 runs hopefully, and that takes you again in that 400 to 450 category or that range, which I think is a prerequisite on this wicket if you ask. No demons, as I said, doesn't look like the conditions are going to change much. Very little assistance if there is at all for the seamers. So if you want to make a match out of it, you want at least about 400-420 runs, and with this kind of a foundation, the only challenge now for India will be for the 2 set batters to come and find their zone tomorrow early on, because if you don't do that quickly, it gives an opportunity for the opposition to come at you, and you only have one batter per se, or an all-rounder only after that. Let's not go into the Indian tale because it offers very little. As we know, we've done umpteen stories on that. We were witness to it just the previous week as well. So this is, I think, going to be tricky for India, how they look at and how they go about their business in the first session. But at the moment, I think they'll be. It's actually, let's put it down to percentages. Since you asked who's going to be happier if India take this, I think it's about 55-45. It's not as heavily in favor of India. It's not gone out of hands for England as well. It's not like India posted 400 runs on the first day with the loss for the loss of 5 wickets. So and England are going to back themselves as well, because this is a promising wicket for the batters. So I don't think they'll be too bothered with the way things have played out on day 1. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, see, I did say that it is India 60% and India and England 40%. But let us not get too swayed by the fact. I think both teams will not be too happy, but won't be too sad also. Because England have taken 5 wickets. They took Pant out cheaply, which made a big difference. I think 350 or 360 for 6 if they were. I think then England would have been sweating. But I think England bowled with discipline today, and they didn't allow India to get away. Yes, Gill, if you look at it, he batted with tremendous application and solidity, and we will be devoting one portion of it on waxing lyrical on Shubman Gill. But I think England will not be too happy, but won't be too sad also. Because they were in a worse position in Leeds, 359 for 3. But in the last 7 wickets, we know how it unfolded. Here also, if you restrict them to under 400 or even under 450, then I think England will fancy themselves. A total of 500, 550 on this wicket, I think they'll be under more pressure in that sense.
Of course, but do you see India getting to that kind of a total now?
No, I don't think they are getting to 500. 400, 450 is far more realistic. The new ball is only 5 overs old. And tomorrow they will be wanting to make more inroads in that sense. Yeah. Vokes, to his credit, has bowled really well. Yeah. He was the guy who looked in perfect rhythm today. The others like Kars and Bashir and Stokes all bowled their heart out today. So 310, 85 overs, it's like a run rate of, when I have to look at 3.2 or something, looking at it. Not 3.2.
No, more than that.
It'll be 3.8, 3.7 in that sense. So yeah, 85 into 2 is 170.
It's less than 4 for sure.
It's less than 4 for sure. And then you got 255. Yeah, close to 3.5. So this is a typical test match kind of a knock. It's not a fast-paced knock. In Leeds, you had fast-paced knocks, but here you had to grind down, you had to ensure.
It takes me back to what we were talking, Siddharth, at the end of the first session, where we believed that there'd be some sort of acceleration from India in session number 2 and 3. And once you had Pant in the middle, you thought it's going to happen for sure. Because going into T, Pant was still around, and you thought that acceleration would come at some point. But eventually, as we saw, Pant departed. So Pant and Reddy were the 2 wickets to fall in this session, as we saw. And yes, I think once Pant was gone, he looked very gritty to begin with. Was batting at a strike rate of about 50 again. We shouldn't be talking so much about strike rate in the test format, but with Rishabh Pant, you need to have a little bit of conversation around that, especially when that strike rate is lesser than 50. It tells you Rishabh Pant is in the mood to, get his eye in, and he didn't go bang from the word go, which has been the case with him on a few times. And this is something that we saw with him in the first test match as well. He wasn't taking the bait to begin with. But since we've touched upon Rishabh Pant, then let's also try and talk about that dismissal. So initially he wasn't taking that bait. The ball was being flighted. The spinner was brought on the moment that he was there, and while he survived, or let's say he won the first battle going into T, but after T, the battle was eventually won, or the war was eventually won by Bashir or England over Rishabh Pant. They had. Look at the planning.
Splendid captaincy.
Yes, because you had one of your tallest fielders fielding at long on. So it was Zach Crawley over there, and as we know, I think he qualifies to be the tallest of the lot in this English side. I'm not sure if a Kars or a
Bashir is tall.
Taller than him?
I mean, he is tall. I don't know the exact heights.
But point being, you had one of your tallest fielders there at the ropes, and eventually Rishabh Pant took that risk. Wasn't able to middle. We saw the bat turn in his hand and found the fielder in the deep.
I mean, you saw when the ball was just coming on, how slow the turn was. So he was struggling to time the ball when you have to look at it.
I don't think he was done for the turn over there, Siddharth.
Just didn't get to the flight, didn't time it properly. I think the slow nature of the wicket ensured that, he couldn't time it that well. Leeds, in that sense, was far more truer in that pace and zip that was there. So, coming back to the one major point that we are looking. So, I would say no team is too happy, no team is too sad. England have 5 wickets.
No, neither team has a lot to worry at the moment.
Yeah.
They'll take this. Both teams will take this. England will be happy with the fact that they've taken, half the Indian side is dismissed, so they'll be happy with the 5 wickets that they've taken, and be bullish on the fact that they can do a repeat of Leeds again over here, which is get the Indian tail out cheaply. They've got every reason to believe so.
Yeah.
Look at it this way. In fact, we talk about that long in Indian tail or that Indian lower order. There are 2 batters in this lower Indian middle order that are new to this series. There's a Nitish Kumar Reddy who didn't work out, and then there's going to be a Washington. So immense pressure. All the more reason for England to believe that these are newcomers into this into the fold right now. So the pressure will be on them as well to justify their selection. So I think England won't be too perturbed with this equation.
Yep. But coming to the main man of the day, I mean, when you look at it, 7th Test century, second in England in 2 tests, he's hit 2 centuries. The captain Shubman Gill, when he hit that 100, there was a lot of anger, I may have to say. I mean, he did that typical this thing also, that celebration, but that celebration had a lot of anger and frustration written on it.
I think, Siddharth, we're seeing this for the second time. In Leeds as well, that celebration, you could sense that it meant more than, just a ordinary or a routine ton. It wasn't a ton, let's say, scored at the Firozshah Kotla. This was a ton that was scored away from home. He knew very well that his previous notable innings was Gabba 91, and there's not much that he did outside of Asian conditions to really make a mark as a batter. Forget as a captain. There were the daggers were out, given his ordinary record away from home, the fact that he was named as the captain of the Indian side. So there were so many pointed questions and so many sharp daggers that he was facing, and it sort of reflected in the first Test match century as well that he scored, with that little bit of that added aggression. I think it was both the times, that celebration, the fact that there was a little cry towards the end, the fact that the expression on the face, besides the smile that came on later, that little bit of aggression that you saw in that celebration, I think it told you a story over there about all that pressure playing on his mind, his numbers at the back of his mind as well. And so it meant a lot for him to do it as the captain. If there were doubts about his captaincy credentials, I think we saw it in these 2 celebrations, what it means for him to be leading this team and getting these runs as the captain of the side.
See, first Test, he had to silence the doubters that my Sena record isn't that great. Here, I've got 100 in England. But today, he was surely facing a lot of flack outside of the field for the decisions that he took for not playing Jasprit Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav. He and the management have been panned. Ravi Shastri, in fact, said during one of the shows that, yes, I cannot believe that you've got a 1-week gap. The Brains Trust decided to not play a Jasprit Bumrah. And the Brains Trust includes coach, captain, and there may be several other stakeholders also.
Just add, I think, Atherton as well to that list. I think I heard him say on the commentary the same thing.
Aaron Finch was also very vocal on social media, saying that if you want to play your best bowler, you have to play it now. You can't play him later on. I'm sorry. If you're 2-0 down, it doesn't make sense. Because the series coming back, no team has done it in the 21st century. It's been more than close to 89 years since our team won a series from 2-0 down. Although in the Ashes, England came back and made it 2-2 in 2023 against Australia. But that 4th Test was a draw. So that is why you have to understand one major thing. So was he giving a shout out to that? That maybe all the noise is coming. I didn't pick Bumrah, I didn't pick Kuldeep, but I'm leading from the front with the bat. Maybe that was why the anger was there. That, see, I've done it. Now I did not have questions asked over and over and over again. But this is international cricket.
I think I'll be more interested to see how he reacts if India were to win this Test match. How he reacts in that kind of a situation is something I would be looking forward to, because at the moment I think this is to do with 2 things. One, him as a captain, because his place as captain or his position as captain has been in question, and then his credentials as a batter. So at the moment I felt those celebrations were a lot more to do with these two aspects.
Okay, but then talking about the knock today, I mean, we had mentioned he would be stonewalling at the other end and ensure that, okay, I will grind England's bowlers to the ground. We all thought that Pant would be that fire. Okay, like he will go bang bang at the other end, but that didn't work out. Nitish Reddy also, but he had an able ally in Ravindra Jadeja who was rotating the strikes. He found the boundaries where there was an opportunity to be hit. And 99 run stand, Shubman Gill 114 of 216. Classical test match knock. And do you think it would have achieved the objective that, okay, maybe England will go in with maybe rather stooped shoulders heading into day 2? Because if he's there, remember, he's not scored, his highest score is 147. He's he's the antithesis of Jaiswal. He doesn't score big daddy hundreds when it's required. It's possible that he does it. His highest first class score, if I'm not mistaken, is 267, if I'm not mistaken, that he hit for Punjab. Do you think that Shubman Gill today has given another dimension to his batting altogether? I can also be aggressive like what happened in Leeds. I can stonewall like what I did in Edgbaston.
I don't think Siddhartha ever doubted his ability to, play at the attritional rate that he did today. What will be impressive to see about Shubman Gill, if on a given day the situation requires him to bat the way a Jaiswal does, I think that'll be like a discovery for me. That'll be a revelation of sorts for me. But given the player that he is, so textbook, so conventional, wanted this number 4 spot for a reason, and he's done most things right as a batter, going by the precedent in the past and going by how things are done as per the textbook. So he looks that kind of a player who wants to be technically right, who wants to look technically solid. So I think I'll be taken by surprise the day I see him add that new gear to his batting. This for me was...
Although he did show that gear. You remember that last over before the new ball was about to be taken, Joe Root came in. Mm-hmm. He then went bang bang, he tried to take it on. I want to get to my 100 before the new ball comes.
I think you saw that in the previous match as well, where when he started to hit the ball on the leg side, with a couple of short arm jabs and a couple of times that he went for those lofted sweeps as well. That told you that Shubman Gill, he can change gears, he can be the aggressor at times as well. Today, I think, as we were talking, Siddharth, I think that would have definitely been the plan for India, that Shubman Gill is going to play his natural game and spend more time in the middle. This is what I could sense from today, because it's not like the situation wanted Gill to play slow or force him to get into a shell. I don't think that was the reason for him to be batting at a strike rate of about 50. And this was...
Today, he cut out risks.
Yes,
totally.
So if you see, you saw so much about Shubman Gill in this innings. He was batting far ahead of the crease, as we saw. Was he looking to always play attacking strokes every time he walked down the track? No, he was looking to stop the ball right there. So I think for Gill, the priority was to get acclimatized, for him to absorb the conditions, for him to get a greater sense and a greater grip of what the conditions are, and be in the middle for as long as possible. I don't think he was looking at his strike rate or was looking at how many balls he was. In fact, his idea was to spend a lot of time in the middle and face as many balls. That's what I get from his innings today, because the scoreboard did not force this kind of batting from him. He, as the batter, Shubman Gill the batter, wanted to spend all this time in the middle, knowing that the conditions are there, the runs are there to be scored, and he would have now the target for him, now that he's on 114, I think Shubman Gill's target, when we talk about adding a new gear and adding a new layer to his batting, I think it'll be interesting to see tomorrow what he does after this score, because this has been a thing with him and some of the batters around him. They don't usually convert centuries into bigger scores. Yes, Ashwi could be that outlier, but otherwise those daddy hundreds, as we were talking about, those double hundreds are missing. So can Shubman Gill make this 100 into a double 100? That is what I'll be interested to see. What is the mindset that he comes into bat tomorrow?
See, today the England bowlers bowled with tremendous discipline. Tight lines they bowled. Barring certain spells in the first 2 overs, in the first spell on day 1, session 1, I think England maintained a tight line, especially Chris Woakes. By going outside of the crease far more often and staying there, he eliminated an impact of LBW also, and he ensured that swing wouldn't trouble him. That is one thing he would have told all the batters. I'm eliminating swing, I'm standing well outside of the crease.
So I'm expecting him to do the same in Manchester.
He can.
If this is his plan to negate swing, even though there wasn't a lot of swing on offer, but we saw him do that.
Yeah, see, when you look at it, every condition in England is going to be like this. All the overhead condition also depends. Tomorrow, if India get the better of the cloudy conditions, and their bowlers could have a chance. But again, when you look at it, Gill today just ensured whatever were the tight lines, he stonewalled it, showed the defense. He stood outside of the crease to negate the swing. If the ball was there to be hit in the slot, he would hit it. He did it with Joe Root. That short ball, he wasn't troubled with. If there was a spinner, he would hit it down the ground. Every single point in the innings, you could say that barring one or two. I think once when he came down the track, he tried to have that swipe. I think that was one false shot that he hit. But he was rarely troubled by any of the bowlers. So today, Shubman Gill showed that yes, what is the kind of application you want me to show? I've shown that. Edgbaston today, I mean, he's joined Kohli, he's joined Tendulkar, he's joined Pant, he's joined Jadeja as the others to have hit centuries in Edgbaston in this last 20-30 years when I look at it. Shubman Gill today has shown that with the bat, I think most of the questions can be silenced. There are tougher challenges. He has to do well in South Africa, he has to do well in Australia consistently, he has to do well in New Zealand. One Sena country, he's answered emphatically with 2 test runs that yes, I've done well in England. Not many people have gotten test hundreds in England. Aided also by flat conditions in this era in England. But he has to do well in all the other 3 SEN countries when you look at it. Yes, SAN countries. South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. In this way, I'm happy that Shubman Gill has done that. He's shown both sides of his batsmanship. He can be aggressive when he wants to be. He can be that hard, determined, apply yourself on the crease bit. So that is one good thing.
There's one more thing, speaking of Gill, that was good to see. England's plan was the same against him, much like the previous test, where they were trying to look for that quote-unquote infamous gate.
Yeah,
but they weren't able to. So the gate was blocked today.
Yes.
As it was in the second innings in Leeds.
First innings in Leeds.
The first innings in Leeds. So you saw him come out very resolute once again, and they were trying. I think Vokes was trying again and again to try to look for that gap between bat and pad. But today, one of the reasons why I think he was standing where he was, which was a good couple of feet away from the crease, was because he didn't want to give that opportunity, and he wanted to make that early contact with the ball. So that was good to see on his part as well.
That is a technical adaptability that Shubman Gill has done. I mean, if you look at the mode of dismissals in this series, it's not been through the gate. So that's one good thing that's there. Otherwise, when you look at it, when Nitish Kumar Reddy fell, you felt that, okay, was that Shubman Gill by accident?
Just by the way, being the devil's advocate, Siddharth, is this more to do with Gill's adaptation or the fact that the conditions have actually flattened out?
I think, see, Shubman Gill is actually lucky that he's facing flat conditions. Let me be very, very
not just him.
honest.
I think I agree with you. You can go ahead and make your point, but I think this is to do with a lot of other batters as well on both the sides. Not trying to single out Gill in any way.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with you totally on that fact. That I agree that this is not the England of 2018. Kohli on that green deck.
But before you guys, slam us for having just said what we just said, bear in mind the fact that by no means are we trying to downplay, discredit any of the batters on either side. Remember, I just said either side. So because a good batter will make merry in conditions, or will make hay in sunshine, as they say. So there are other batters that we saw as well. There were many batters on the England side as well, but not everyone scored runs in the first test match, or will score runs on this batter friendly deck as well. So it takes a quality batter for you to make hay in sunshine. But the point of the matter is, if you've been watching cricket, you do realize the fact that the England over the last couple of years has drastically changed from the England of the past.
Yep. I mean, see, Gill, if you have to put him back to 2018, when India encountered tough conditions here. Let's make no mistake, 2018 England, Edgbaston was tough, Lords was tough, Southampton was tough. And that is where I look at it. Conditions have changed dramatically from 2018. From post-COVID onwards, it's changed.
Which is why you still wax lyricals about that KL Rahul century, no, Siddharth?
You wax lyrical on Kohli's 149.
In Edgbaston.
Yes.
Because challenging conditions.
Correct. You lost that test match. You're no business in losing that test match, but you lost that test match. But the one major impact will be Kohli's 149 and 51 in against some more disciplined bowling of that era.
Broad and Anderson at that
Broad,
time.
Anderson, Stokes. So that was a challenge in that era. Only Stokes remains. The rest of the bowling is inexperienced. So inexperienced bowling, flat decks. Actually, when you come to England now, you can inflate your batting averages. Because it's now become your best series to bat on. I mean, Steve Smith scores hundreds consistently in England.
Scores back-to-back 100.
Yeah.
Edgbaston. It was here only.
It was here he
Yes.
scored. Amidst all the dine and the hostility that was there. That was alpha Steve Smith
Yeah.
at that point.
Yo.
But even then conditions were tough there also. Because baseball hadn't come by then. Baseball only started 2022. And the starting point of it was Lords 2022 when England-New Zealand happened.
Yeah.
Edgbaston happened after that. So conditions have changed dramatically, but in an ICC neutral venue, when you looked at Oval, Gill struggled on both occasions because the bowling attack was better. Here, bowling attack is inexperienced. Conditions are also flattened out very much. I think this Australian team, if you put them on those two conditions in Leeds and Edgbaston, they would score 300, 400 consistently.
The conditions were staggering in the WTC final as well.
Yeah. Who would have thought that this is the case there? But then see, this is where I think no disrespecting Gill at all. He deserves to score everywhere he goes. He's been touted to do that. But this is the flattest era that you've had in England as far as pitches are concerned. This is the most experienced lineup that you've had, which is why that loss at Leeds is so infuriating. 13 for 72 in 2 innings. That's why it is so infuriating. That's why you had to ensure that, okay.
When it's so damning a stat, Siddharth, 13 for 72, right?
In 2 innings
In
combined.
2 innings, yeah. Second innings was 6 for 31.
First innings was 7 for 41.
Yeah. So it's so damning that stat, because when you talk about it and when you going forward in retrospect, when we talk about that particular stat, how will you convince the future generations or the neutral that this happened on a batting track?
Exactly. 835 runs, 5 centuries. How will you convince them? And you still lost. That's why one of the headlines that was written was, India lose the unlosable test.
Yes, it was unlosable.
Gill will be judged. Let's make it very clear here, okay? England series, nobody was expecting miracles. But Gill will be judged holistically on his captaincy also. Kohli was great because his captaincy also did well and his batting also did well. Although overseas, Kohli the batter did well, Kohli the team didn't do well.
See, in terms of identity and all those parameters, Siddharth, yes, of course, you put up a very good fight in South Africa.
But you didn't win.
You didn't win, but you were primed to win. You had to win.
You didn't win in England.
You had to win in England as well. But what it did for the Indian team, Siddharth, I think it gave them character and confidence. Obviously, it had to do with what had happened in 1819 in Australia. But you became a force to reckon with. And once you do that in Australia, then other teams take note. So the fact that we're talking about 20 wickets, that's been the conversation in the 6 days of test match cricket of the series that we've seen. The 20 wickets became the norm because of that Virat Kohli side that had 3 proper seamers and on occasion or 2 a fourth seam bowling all-rounder as well, who then ensured that those 20 wickets would come always. He nurtured a couple of young bowlers as well. Mohammad Siraj is prime example. So
Shami, Umesh, Ishant.
exactly, giving
Bumrah.
fast bowling the priority happened under Virat Kohli, the captain. So those things are definitely there.
So this is where Gill will be judged. Gill, the batter, might silence critics, but Gill, the captain, will have a lot of answering to do.
But that we need to wait.
We need to wait and
Be
see.
patient, yeah.
Because now you'll have to look at milestones in a very, when you look at it with a pinch of salt. It has to start from England. I'll tell you why. Do you remember Jaiswal's 101 or do you remember the 4 dropped catches? That cost you the game. That was a prime factor in costing you the game.
Of course.
Will you remember Gill's 200s that have happened? But if India, if God forbid, they lose Edgbaston, will you still look back upon it fondly? Pant, whenever he scored 100 in the Sena, India's never won. So, okay, he did well in Sydney, 159, they drew that, India won the series, great. But he scored dazzling hundreds in England, he scored dazzling hundreds in South Africa, but India have never won.
Yeah.
That's a damning statistic, which means the team has failed. Here with the team that he's got, our main concern is your lower order was a problem. Your top order was not the problem in Leeds. Will your lower order and your bowlers take 20 wickets? That is the next thing which we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's something we'll surely get to talk about as this match progresses, and definitely tomorrow as well. This is something that we will talk about depending on how the Indian bowling fares. But a couple of other points before we get into the questions. We've touched upon very briefly on that Rishabh Pant dismissal. Your thoughts, Siddharth? I think I've already given you
I
my
think it was
cents.
splendid captaincy. We knew that Pant will not back down against a spinner. Stokes had the right fielder there. Pant found the fielder, and that is why I think it's a great captaincy move, which shows why Stokes is such a proactive captain.
That celebration as well we saw.
Yes, and you get Pant, you feel that half the job is done. Because Pant and Rahul are your key guys in this batting lineup. Because they have been to multiple tours of England. Jaiswal, you got him in the second session, and this is where I think we'll focus a bit about Jaiswal. 87 very good runs, but the shot that he played, he was always at the knife's edge. He fell with that bottom edge, and that went so against the run of play that you felt, was it needed? But as I've mentioned, Jaiswal, if you curb his aggressive instinct, then he will not be Yashasvi Jaiswal. Same like Viru. You can't expect Viru to keep on leaving deliveries and defending spinners. It wouldn't make him Viru. So that is why if Jaiswal goes for it, doesn't get 100, but he scored 87 runs, laid the base to ensure that Gill and the others would capitalize on it. So that's why I think today, more than Gill, I think Yashasvi Jaiswal deserves credit. Tough first session. I mean, that's why you had that extra bounce if you hit those right areas. There wasn't that much of swing, not much of bounce. So Jaiswal knew what the plan was. He down the ground, mostly to the offside. He maintained good discipline, good strokes, flashed at a few, missed a few. But yes, I think Jaiswal deserves the praise for laying the base for today's 310 for 5. I think he batted brilliantly with a strike rate of 81. But yes, he deserved 100 today.
What about NKR? Let's put our...
For one moment, I was like, damn, I hope it's not Shubman Gill. Because we've seen Shubman Gill get out multiple times with that. I remember Scott Boland getting rid of him in that WTC final. I remember Ajaz Patel getting rid of him in Mumbai. Similar thing, leaving the ball. I thought, was it Shubman? But no, it was Nitish Kumar Reddy. And he got a good ball. That was the most England had managed to get a ball to come back in the entire match. And it happened with Nitish Reddy. Yes, total misjudgment. He thought he would leave it on line. But Vokes, you saw the shiny side was pointed in.
Yeah.
You thought it was going out, but because it hit the right area, it decked back in. And Nitish thought, oh, what have I done? Today, Nitish, KL and Karun, all three of them will be very disappointed to have missed out. Pant, I'm not counting because Pant...
Who would be the most disappointed?
Karun. Today, because KL, you're not going to drop him. You're not dropping a KL Rahul because he is your most stable batter at the top. You're not dropping a Pant. Reddy, you are assuming it'll either be Shardul or Ditish.
I actually think that amongst the three of them, Reddy will have a sleepless night.
No, Karun, I'll tell you why.
Because the way he got castled.
Sure, but it is his first knock in England ever.
It is, but again, it was entirely his fault. It was a good ball.
Yeah.
But misjudgment for whatever little cricket that I've played, I think as a batter, you just don't forgive yourself the same.
Karun's had 2 bad knocks in Leeds. He didn't have a good one here. I think the axe, if it has to fall, it is most likely going to fall on Karun.
After the second test match?
If results don't go India's way.
But is it falling after the second test match on
Karun
Nair?
If Karun doesn't have a good second innings and India loses, then I think Karun's not making it. Because see, Nitish...
But when you look at the bench, you think it's that easy a call to make after 2 test matches?
I think it is.
There is strength you see there?
There is strength.
So who have you got? You got a Jurel?
You got a Ishwaran.
You got an Ishwaran who will have to bat out of position.
Yeah.
Then
why out of position?
Why?
Jaiswal, Ishwaran, KL at 3.
No, come on. You're not changing KL Rahul's position then.
KL is a team man. Which position you will bat? Number 3? Yes, sir. Which position you will bat? Number 11? Yes, sir. Number 8? Yes, sir. Number 6? Yes, sir. KL is your team man.
But in this young team, though, he can say, "Na yaar, I'm a senior and let me, you need to free me from those previous."
I'm a team man. That's what's worked for me. That's the reason why I've held on to that position. If he's not a team man, he would be axed long back. But KL, number 9 position, yes sir, I will bat. Number 1, yes sir, I will bat.
But when you have to break into the Indian team, everyone's a, yes man, team man, whatever you want to say. Tell me one player. You didn't Rohit Sharma start his career batting at number 7? Where did he eventually end? Opener. So young Rohit Sharma would also said
but
yes.
But he was not constantly shuffled around. Was Virat shuffled around that much? One innings that you made him play in that New Zealand match in Bengaluru, how much did he look comfortable? Number 3, he fell for a 9-ball duck, made 70. But after that, number 4, that's been his position. Virat, I would say, no batter adjusted. Only KL chopping and turning and changing him around like a roller coaster. Only he has succeeded, despite all these things. Which is why I say, you want to play Ishwaran, get him in as an opener with Jaiswal. KL Rahul, number 3, sir. Gill, Pant, NKR/Shardul. Because if Reddy fails and he's not going to give that much utility with the ball, then get Shardul back for Lords. Simple. That's the tightrope.
I doubt, Siddharth, how this team is going to do well if you have such a scenario where players are coming in, going out after every match. So if Shardul goes out after one match, or Sai Sudarshan goes out after one match, then comes back in, either of them.
Sai isn't coming back.
Yeah, I doubt if this augurs well.
You will give another Tatkal to Jurel, you will give another Tatkal promotion to Abhimanyu Ishwaran. Abhimanyu Ishwaran, everybody is vouching. Play him. But where will he play? See, if Karun plays the third test, good. Then you are backing a guy. But then why did you destroy Sai Sudarshan then?
So let me answer that question as well. I don't think the axe is falling on him. After Edgbaston, it might fall after Lords if the returns are diminishing or just about the same as we've seen so far. So if they're as middling as they get at the moment, then I think Lords could be his last test match on the tour. But if this is a 50-70 there, he might just cling on.
He might. We hope he clings on because see, you have destroyed Sai Sudarshan's confidence. 0 and 30.
You have destroyed so much more, I think, when it comes to
always done it, and that is
this is perhaps, if you ask me, I think this is the last time that he is part of an India squad.
Karun. Sai.
Ishwaran.
Well, why don't you play him at home? See, the one guy who should feel very, very annoyed by all of this is Hanuma Vihari. What wrong did he do? You didn't play him. You put him in tough situations in the Sena countries. He responded. He helped you save matches. He took on the ugly role of trying to negotiate the new ball in the Sena countries far often. You didn't play him on flat decks in India. Mujhe kyun toda? Even now the
You asked
question
him to
is...
play domestic cricket, prove fitness, as you've done with the others. He batted with one hand, as we saw.
Yes. What wrong did Gade Hanuma Vihari do? He was also a yes man. He was also the
And
ultimate
I'm
team
telling
man.
you, everyone who's not a shot is a yes man.
That's the problem. So that's why
The
in
only
this
one who
debate-
wasn't, perhaps, we saw him go on an exile.
Yeah. Which is why I think Sarfaraz, when you look at it, is he a yes man? I don't know. But he's not there. Many people say after this knock in the under-19 ODI, get a Vaibhav Suryavanshi. That's how it is. The best player is always the one who's on the bench. That's what Nikhil's pointed out. That's what everybody's pointed ad nauseum. Doesn't work that way. So yeah, I think Karun will feel more sleepless nights. Reddy, it's his first game in England ever, which is what Chili Paneer is saying. Okay. First class average, Jurel 48, Sarfaraz Khan 66 and Sai Sudarshan 39, Reddy 25. I rest my case. Pant is a joke. No situation awareness. We have a captain, boys. Pant is a joke. No situation awareness.
Can't say that. I think Chili Paneer with Pant, I think he has made us all realize whether we will like the way that he approaches Test cricket or not. It is effective. Those runs come exactly the manner in which those dismissals come. So it can't
Very
be like
harsh
we take
though.
all those runs and all those centuries that Rishabh Pant has scored and be too harsh on him when he gets out. Yes, of course, you expect him to be mature and be more responsible, but I think there's a very thin line separating the brand of cricket he plays and the kind of wisdom you expect Test cricket to be played with.
But he's given numbers. What I rest my case on what? What is this case? I don't know the case. So that I can be judge, jury, executioner. Pant is a joke. No situation awareness. Not in test matches, my friend. He's played so well outside of India.
Yeah.
Can't call him. We have a captain, boys. But I will only say we have a captain, boys, with that salute if you keep winning. A captain who scores, great batter, but a captain who doesn't win, what happens? Mohammad Azharuddin was a brilliant batter, but he didn't win you that many games outside
So
of
was
India.
Sachin Tendulkar.
Sachin, gold standard of batting, but did he win you games? Never. As a captain.
As a captain.
Captain, I'm saying. If you look at the Azhar Tendulkar era captaincy record, sorry. Dravid, Ganguly helped you win matches away, which is why you rate their captaincy higher. Dhoni never got hundreds outside, but he's not a good test captain.
Test captain, yeah.
Never.
He was
Okay, but
infamous
hog. But ironically, under Dhoni, you became number one
number
in test.
one, yeah.
But you won a series in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And you held South Africa to a draw. Rohit Sharma held South Africa to a draw. But Virat never won a test in New Zealand.
Yeah.
He didn't win in South Africa either. Neither did he win in England. Series, I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that is why. Very, very strange. The captaincy karma of all these guys. It's very strange.
It's funny how two test matches have changed or could have enhanced had the results gone India's way. Virat Kohli's record and his aura as a test captain. He already enjoys a lot of aura, rightly so. But those two test matches, one in South Africa and then the Edgbaston test.
Even Southampton.
If he had held on, yeah.
Even Southampton.
Yeah.
Plus, he didn't win the WTC, so what are you going to do about that? So that's the thing. Ashish Dhar is saying, is GG coach with defensive mindset Sundar ahead of Kuldeep just because he bats better? Test matches cannot be won by defending totals, pick 20 wickets. But that's the thing. I mean, everybody has called out the defensive mentality that is there. For better batting, you need 450 plus to justify this batting order.
Yes. If you don't get past 450 with this lineup, then what's that extra batting cushion that you desired?
Exactly. You need 450 plus or 500 with this batting order that you got. Otherwise, it's not going to help you at all. So that is the thing. Ashish Chandilya is saying, fun fact, Shubman Gill gets a century with a control of 96.5% control percentage. That is the best ever for a player at the time of reaching century in Test in England since records began. Whoa, 96.5 control percentage, which is why he eliminated risk totally. Dravid isn't there in any of that matches were under control.
That's surprising.
That's very surprising. I thought Dravid, not so much Trent Bridge of 2011 or any other match. I thought Oval of 2011, I thought wasn't he under total control as an opener. So that's the thing, maybe. Mr. Creator says, Kohli only won that one series in Australia, Smith and Warner were banned. But still, man, Mr. Creator, a series win is a series win.
Yeah.
How much ever way you look at it, a series win is a series win.
Still a very good Australian team.
They did push you. They won that Perth test match. They were 1-1 heading into Melbourne. But then...
I would say India were held by Aaron Finch's presence.
Yeah, but you still won. And Kohli, 2021, you can't discount 2020, 2021. Yes, Kohli didn't play 3 tests. But India were playing a C team. And yet you beat Australia. That is right up there as one of India's greatest achievements ever. So that is why. Vaibhav Taragi is saying, Vokes' 2 overs from new ball was worrisome. Gill and Jadeja has to play watchfully tomorrow morning to eliminate any chance of collapse. Well, we hope so. But then, Vokes really bowled well. I think he's going to be the key tomorrow. And if there is cloud cover, then I think you're doomed. But there is going to be slight cloud cover from Saturday onwards. Saturday, Sunday is rain predicted.
Checking, right? How much was it? So
25%.
Both the days?
Both days. You'll see light rain spells, which may see about a half an hour, 40-minute delay. But you won't see full days being washed out.
It's uncanny, the kind of similarities that the 2 test matches are having.
You are going into that zone. I'm really telling you, Bad boys is like saying Gambhir has been blamed a lot in the last few days, but he deserves a praise for choosing Gill as captain despite entire cricket experts questioning that move. But there's a big but.
But there's a Ajit Agarkar who would have had a greater say than a Gautam Gambhir. Sure, Gambhir's suggestions would have been taken, but make no mistake, and I think this is where this question came from bad boys. I think this is where you're confusing the roles of the coach and the selection committee. That is a decision that was made by the selection committee.
Correct. But Captain Gill, batter Gill, fine. But Captain Gill, we'll have to wait on it. Until he himself said it. Judge me after August 4th. Judge me after that. So that is why. Sarachan, the fact that Gill aggression is showing to someone or just following Kohli-esque celebrations. Really? This doesn't cover the fact that even if we win, these decisions are not useful in future. See, we don't know about winning or losing at this point in time. But as I've mentioned today, both teams will neither be too sad, neither will be too happy. India would have been happy with 359 for 3, aiming for 550, but then we all know what happened, 470 all out. Here, with this kind of batting lineup, you need a total close to 500 to justify anything. If you can't get to 500, then I'm sorry. Then you've not learnt your lessons from the BGT at all in that sense. So, last question we'll take before we call it night. We have taken this. And last question from someone.
Answer Mr. Rajput's comment.
Is this a flat deck? Rajan Rajput is saying. Seems to be a flat deck. There is not much swing. There isn't much of pace. Some deliveries are kicking up from a good length, but there was only 2 or 3 that I could see. Yes, with the new ball, there was some discipline shown by Vokes. And that is why I think it's a flat deck with hardly any assistance from upstairs when you look at it. So, it'll be a flat deck, but tomorrow, I think it's going to be very, very interesting.
Okay, last one from Fit Monk who says, Shreyas Iyer would have absolutely destroyed English attack in these batting beauty pitches. Your thoughts?
I think he's again unlucky.
No, but does he make a point?
I don't know. I really don't know because
he's had a lot of good form. He scored runs in domestic. Came close to winning the IPL.
Came close,
showed great form.
I don't know. How can I picture Shreyas Iyer here when he's not even playing?
Was your key guy in Champions Trophy?
Yeah, but that's white ball.
Yeah.
Red ball, see, he's had good form, but I can't imagine. I can't picture him because he's not playing. I don't know how he would have. I really don't know.
Well, so let me rephrase. Was he showing enough signs that he could have made hay in sunshine here?
No.
No?
Red ball is a totally different beast here.
Okay.
Sometimes this form that you show in first class cricket, sometimes the form that you show in white ball cricket doesn't necessarily translate into red ball form.
Okay.
Sarfaraz, when you look at it, sure, he made a good start, but then after that, didn't he taper off? That's what I have to say. So, yep, that is how we are looking at this particular match, and we are heading into day 2. Still pretty even Steven, although I would say India would be slightly happier, but England will also not be too sad.
Yeah.
310 for 5 at the end of day 1. Will India do much better on day 2? Can they avoid a collapse? Will England fight back? It all is building up to a very, very good thing. But congratulations to Gill for showing his class. 7th century, second test match in England, second ton that he scored in the series. So we hope he can make a daddy 100 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Instead of 150 plus, let's see. So from me and Harshit, it is good night, Nandri, Vanakkam, Shubhratri.
Just a reminder before we send across all our greetings to you is the fact that we won't be meeting you at the start of play tomorrow like we did today. Tomorrow we're going to be seeing you at the lunch break. So be here with us at 5:30. That's when the lunch break will happen, and we'll see you guys here in the studio, and we'll try and dissect what we see, what happens in that first session in Birmingham.
5:30, yep. Hopefully we don't have to do an innings break. Hope no collapse.
Yes, that's
a disclaimer I have to give you.
Yeah, that's the asterisk that I forgot.
Yeah.
That we see you next if India get dismissed or
lunch break at 5:30.
It'll be the lunch break. Yeah.
So bye-bye folks. Nandri, Vanakkam, Shubhratri, Shabbakar. Do check out all the videos that we have done throughout the day in this test match. The special feature on Divyanshi Bhaumik, the 14-year-old TT star. Plus we've had chess that's just concluded. We've had criticism of the team management. Plus India, Pakistan, everything.
Everything. So many stories.
Neeraj Chopra, whatever you want.
Neeraj Chopra, Suryavanshi.
What a knock today. 86 of 37 deliveries.
Yeah.
Top class knock. So bye-bye from me. Good night.